Hi there, Serial Trader here. Let's have a look at weed, and wow, this one hasn't been for the faint of heart lately. So we had an initial huge gap up today, which is actually ridiculous because we already had a huge move in the already overbought territory yesterday. Um, okay, now the actual intraday range of this candle on weed was 74.45 down to 64.20. So legitimately above a $10 range from high to low intraday here. That is just incredible, extremely volatile. Okay, now we have a huge volume spike here. That's probably one of the highest volume candles ever on this weed chart, over 20 million shares. Now just briefly switching over to the CGC chart because it actually lately has been trading higher nominal and just overall dollar adjusted volume than weed. So in US dollars, this thing traded over 37 million shares today, highest ever volume between the CGC or the weed chart. And in this case, it is on the CGC chart. So when you see almost a euphoric kind of topping potential move here on it, extremely high volume, that's definitely a sign for caution that a trend reversal could be approaching rather soon, if not already today. Although I have my doubts that it's completely topped out today, and we'll get to that back to the weed chart here. But, incredible. So I was still eyeing up some puts. Didn't enter any today because I'm just not convinced. I mean, this is a large candlestick and volatile, no doubt about it, but this is not a sell signal. And in fact, you see actually a pretty substantial lower shadow of dip buying. So despite the huge intraday move, we actually closed down just a modest 0.52% on weed and 0.76% on CGC. So we spent a whole lot of time essentially going nowhere on a closing basis. But tell that to the day traders. Didn't feel like that for them. Depending on which side of that you were on, obviously. Could have been great or it could have been terrible. Now looking at weed's shorter term wave count here. So if we just had our simple ABC down for our 4, we have our 1 up, 2 down. This definitely looks like a third, very strong move. This potentially was a 4th. This very sharp wave move down was a 4th. And now potentially working a final 5th wave up of this minor 5th wave of that larger 3rd wave on the daily chart, okay? So this does look like a pretty menacing spike down. The bounce so far looks a little choppy, a little corrective, although I'm not willing to call the top on this just yet. Although it is certainly possible that we've made our euphoric top here, and now maybe we're working something like this. 1, 2. We're gonna have our 3, 4, 5 down of the initial A wave or something like that of 4 of that larger 4 on the daily. But I'm not convinced that that's taking place yet. And also, we could still be working something like this instead. We could just have this initial move down for A, correct a move up for B, one more, slightly lower low down for C to make this an overall ABC. Let me get the degree right here. Yeah, that should be good. So, and then that would be, more for this 4. Okay, maybe this 4 is not in place just on that initial move down. We have this ABC down for 4. Ideally not overlapping with our 1 over here, which it certainly looks reasonable that we could stay above that. And then you'd have a final move up in this 5th of the 5th of the 3rd here. Okay, so that's potentially in play, and then just kind of illustrating that scenario. Something like that. Whatever. Minuet. Sure. So that's potentially this scenario. It's unclear at this point, short term, how it's going to play out. I do suspect we just go a little bit higher. But if I do see a final move up to make a new high above this, I'm going to be very interested in buying some put options and then looking for this inevitable, in my opinion, inevitable 4th wave decline here on this daily chart, which will be substantial percentage-wise, even though it'll be pretty healthy overall for the trend. I mean, it could easily be a 20, 30+% decline, depending where we go and where we start from, top to bottom there. So still eyeing that up. Have not bought puts yet, but I'm really getting interested in doing so. Still overbought, basically, as we have been. We're at 76 as of today's close on the daily RSI on weed. On weekly RSI, we're currently sitting at 79.5. So again, still just sitting around 80 on weekly RSI. So definitely there will be some pain coming, at least short term, for the longs. But just question is when, how much higher do we go before it happens? I suspect not a whole lot, although this has already been quite surprisingly strong, so who knows. But all the conditions are in place for a fairly substantial pullback. So I'm definitely on the watch for that. I'm definitely looking to buy some puts here, although nothing as of yet. Possibly tomorrow or the next day. We'll see. Anyway, just a little update on weed, and Serial Trader signing off.